How to set boundaries for your clients. It's episode 202. It's Tuesday. It's the Marketing for Owners podcast. It's where I give my daily, Monday to Friday, bit of advice on how you can improve your business in the same way that I'm learning and improving mine. Simple. So, clients. Now, fortunately, I personally choose not to have individual clients. And that comes from years of experience of dealing with them and also a personal choice of not to trade my time for money. Because, quite simply, I only have 24 hours each day, and when I've sold them all, there's none left. So I do it in other ways. But I appreciate that the vast majority of people I speak to have clients. And in the same way that staff can be a pain at times, clients can be a pain at times. And quite often, it's just one. Like everyone else is wonderful, and it's just one. So, it is very important to set boundaries and to set kind of rules from the start. The odd thing is that those people will respect you more for your organisation and your professionalism. Now, because quite a few, so we're talking about, so for instance, Jennifer, the wonderful Jennifer, who organises virtually everything here at Marketing for Owners and keeps me on the straight and narrow. Her husband is a carpenter, and he gets clients ring him at all hours because he has adverts, and of course he has his phone number out there. People have no respect for his time, so he's had to put in his adverts that he's only available from hours between this and that to make it clear to people. But I'm pretty sure people will still try and ring him out of hours, especially those clients who feel they're a little bit more important than anyone else. Yeah, we've all got them. We've all had them, haven't we? So, this is my advice to you into how to set the boundaries. And now remember, when you're setting boundaries, when you're doing this is like, what would you call it? It's rules. So you are not the police, so you need to put it politely. So, first of all, recognize the problems. So you have to decide, what are the problems? What are people doing? Is it contact times? Are people calling you on Saturday night when you're at home watching a movie? Is it that you deliver a certain amount of work for people or perhaps a web design, and just as you're finishing the web design they say, that's fantastic, but I just had a thought on that page, can you just, when you think you've finished, or is it the additional work? So if someone's entitled, say, to an hour Skype phone consultation or with you, and you cut them off, you need to explain to them there is the extra research and the emails and the reports afterwards that they need to be paying for too. All that kind of stuff. So figure out what are the problems. Write them down, okay? Don't just think about it in your head. Write them down. The next is write out your standards, okay? Decide on each of those points, what are your standards? What is your kind of policy for contact times and for emergencies? If you're in some sort of business where people could have emergencies and want to get hold of you. Also, in contact, write down expectations as to how long it will take you to reply. A lot of people expect an instant reply, especially when they email you. Perhaps you say within 24 hours. Something like that. But make your decision, something that works for you, that's going to work for your clients, but it's most important that it works for you, okay, and it makes sense. Then communicate these to your clients politely, as I said at the beginning. It is very, very important when you get a new client that you explain this at the very start. Start as you mean to go on. Leadership and management is not only within your own business, but it is of your clients. Your clients want to respect you. They want to be managed. They want to be led. You are the expert, okay? So just explain it. Makes sense. They will understand. It's very easy to explain why you can't ring me on a Sunday or a Saturday. I have a family. I work from home, but I only choose to work certain hours because I choose to spend special time with my family, devote when I've promised them I am not working and taking calls. Who is not going to understand that? And if they don't, do you want them as clients? Then, as I pointed out, enforce them from the very start. A lot of clients will listen to what you've said, perhaps read it, perhaps not, and then they'll decide to set their own rules. They'll say, like I said before, that they'll think they're slightly more important than anyone else, and this doesn't quite apply to them because this is urgent. So enforce those rules. Don't let a couple slide, because the third time when it gets annoying and you start to enforce it, they say, well, it's never been a problem before. What's the big deal? Enforce it. Start as you mean to go on. Really, really important, that. Then, finally, be consistent. Do not allow have one rule for one, another rule for others. People will find out. And what do you say when someone says, well, I spoke to George, and George said it's never a problem, so what's the big deal? Because that makes them feel inferior. It makes George seem more important than they are. That's not good. So you need to be consistent. It's very similar to parenting. If you look at children, clients as children, they need a strong parent. So for instance, meal times are decided by the parent. Breakfast, lunch, dinner at certain times. If you let your children decide, they won't eat. They'll be eating in the middle of the day, they'll be eating what they like, etc. It's the same with clients. If you let the client decide, then chaos. If you start as you mean to go on, you'll have great clients. They'll respect you more. This is what a lot of people find hard to understand. They will respect you more for it. So please be polite. They like you. Don't you worry. Be polite and explain how the relationship works. They'll appreciate the transparency. Trust me, I'm a doctor. Well, I'm not, but you know what I mean. Anyway, it is a Tuesday. Did I mention that? By the way, I am back in England. This is back in the garden. Yes, if you're thinking, what happened to all the sunshine? Well, that was Canada. I'm back in England now for another 6 weeks or something. And it's, although it's only September, it seems a bit like winter. I was almost tempted to get the hot water bottle out last night. Nearly. But it is Tuesday. It's time for a toolbox tip. Today is one to use on your mobile phones. It's called Instacollage. Collage as in putting a bunch of images together. Funny thing is, I was going to say it's free. I think it's free. I can't remember. But some of these apps, by the way, if they aren't free, quite obviously they're not my apps. I don't make anything from them. But they're like $2. So, you know, if it's not free, they're like $2. Come on. Instacollage enables you to put a bunch of photos together into a collage. It's obviously based for Instagram use. It's wonderful, but you can put them on Twitter, on Facebook, on anywhere. And it's clever. The thing that I liked about it is that it would appear to be complicated because you can decide on a grid a shape of whether you want 3 images, 4 equal ones. You can define the border width between them. You can define each individual image could be a filter for each individual one that you upload. You can twist images. You can change the colours, and you can put titles and text on and frames and all sorts. But it all sounds complicated. But and I'm useless with these things, I was able to use it intuitively from the start. It was very easy. In actual fact, the first time I used it, I seem to remember, was on a trip from the airport to Disneyland in LA. And we were stuck in traffic, lots of traffic, for a long time. And it took me 5 minutes to get the hang of it. It's dead clever. Instacollage, try it. You'll be impressed. You'll be able to impress your friends. I'll speak to you tomorrow.